Alright, so come back for the second part of ATM. So we need to, so far what we have is this, right? Creating 0 to 9 buttons, which is that 0 to 9, and we have the display, right, which is the J password field here. Okay, and then this order doesn't matter. You can just do. The important thing is two panels has been created, right, with different layout. And pin pad panel just add, right, and display panel just going to add the pass text field and the pin pad. So that means I need to have it here, password field. You see that, like, and then add pin pad right there. Password field can come when the display panel is ready. I can make password come first, like that's the first one that I highlighted. And then the pin pad panel are this, which create the buttons here. This is the highlighted part. Make sense? I make it dark gray. You may see the gray. I make it gray, right? So that's the pin pad panel, which I try to add the buttons into here. 2 more buttons, right? So, and that going to go to enter and clear. So this is going to be clear. I'm going to use the C, stand for clear, right? Now, the question is saying that we need to, right, we created buttons with good layout already, and we have to organize in a cell phone pin pad manner. Cell phone actually is not going to be this order. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and maybe add asterisk and 0, right? We're going to put C here instead, 0, and then enter. Okay, so let's do that. That means I need to modify my code a little bit. I'm going to execute the 0, right, because I have to manually add 0 at the end, okay, to make it in that order, the button to 9 buttons. So I have clear. Like I said, I want clear first. I'm going to make clear first. I need to add the 0 button here manually, right, in order to meet the requirement. So I have clear. I'm going to do in this order, right, 0 button. So create clear first equals to new J button. Now this is just creating, which I also need to add them to where? Pin pad panel. So add, if I add in this order, it's going to go into exact order, like a cell phone, right? Pin pad. So I add clear button right here. Now I need to add 0 button, and I also need to add the enter, right? So that's a symbol, Unicode symbol for enter button. Alright, so let's see what we get after we add. After we add, I pretty much just add the pin pad into the bottom or to the center, right? And display already add the text password into the top right there. So that's why this is the north and center right there. Okay, for this, and then add the whole thing into the frame and make them visible. Let me close this. Let's run again. Okay. So there was an error here because array starting from 0. So I need to do less than 9. But I have to do less than 10, right? To include 9. Because I need number 9 too. Oh yeah, it's still, no, it's not gonna work. It has to be, this guy still have to start from 0 because array index 0 go here, right? And then still the same, less than 10 or less than or equals to 9, doesn't matter. But this guy has to add 1 to it. When it get to 0, that means it has to get to 0 to 8, right? So which is less than 9, right? And then it's going to have 9 right there. Voila! We get something that we want, like cell phone, enter, symbols come, clear. So let's set the font size for this text field or password field, make it a little bit bigger. You can do, when you declare instantiate J password right here, you can say new font. So we try to use fonts now. So actually we better use set because this is gonna go to the default, right? So let's say set font and then do new font in there. And now you can put a style size in here. Okay, so bold. So this is a family attribute values. Let's use in the font name first, like MS Sans Slave. I'm not sure. It has to spell exact right too. You guys, can you double check if this is correct? Okay. And this is, I want it to be bold, and the size, so let's say the size can be 17. Okay, so bold, that means font dot bold. Okay. Alright, so this has to be exact name. You can just double check. For now, I'm going to see if it increasing the size. Yeah, now it's bigger now. See that? 17. Like if I do like 30, you may expect it's going to be bigger. Like again, the fonts might not be correct if I didn't do it right. Alright, so but the action of the button has not been implemented. So we need to implement the buttons now. So let's add the actions. Like the button itself has the method that you can add the buttons action to all of them using an array. Add action listener, and then you have to implement new action listener, and this is an interface, right? Which you also require to implement the add import first, and the interface required to implement the action performed here. And the action performed here, pretty much when I click the number button, I want it to display, right? So I need to make it show on my text field. So again, this is called anonymous class. Okay, like in this case, we need to add this action listener to this anonymous class that you're going to implement it here. Okay, so to review the concept of anonymous class, you can look at this website. Again, when you look at Hello World anonymous classes, this is the name of the class. And we were talking about the interface, right? An interface pretty much similar to class, but you don't have implementation. Like normally you implement the method greet and someone another method, but you just add it semicolon library. This is called a local class, just a class inside a class. When you want to implement hello world and interface, you're going to implement greet and greet someone. And if you want to use English greeting, then you need to instantiate it right here. Okay, and this is just polymorphism to the interface hello world English greeting. Now for anonymous class, you pretty much just going to say hello world like French greeting equals to new hello world. Like the difference is before local class you have to implement and you just create a class and do implements, right? Like when inheritance you do extend, something like that. But for interface we just do implements and interface name. But for anonymous class you pretty much just say that instance of hello world equals to new hello world and you implement it right away. And the reason we want to do that is enable you to declare an instance class at the same time. They are likely to local classes except that they do not have a name. Like we don't give the name, right? And then like this is the name of the class English greeting, right? But this guy doesn't have the name, right? You just implement it right away. And use them if you need to use a local class only once. And we seem to use this only once when we do the grading. Like Spanish grading, this is another example. And we always do hola when we say that. There's no reason to have another class to do that. Right. You don't have to instantiate Spanish 1 grading, Spanish 2 grading from Spanish grading, because they're always grading the same unless they have different way to grade. Okay. Alright, so come back to this is what we do. We create an anonymous class to give an action. So action performed, pretty much you're going to, when you enter something you want to set the pin to show. So it's going to show on where password, right? Field dot set text. So we gotta set the text, which is text is pretty much just the values of the buttons that you get it from E. E here pretty much going to pass the values that you enter, which is get action command. Okay, that pretty much 0, 1, 2, 3 that you enter is going to pass through here. Now, if you run this, we gotta get the pin showing up, like. But the problem is it's not concatenating to 4 pins if you want 4 pins. Okay, this is the password field, that's why you don't see the text. But if you want to see the values, you can always just do system.out and you just remove it that out later to make sure that it works as expected by e.getAction command. Right, when I hit the button it should show. So let's rerun again to verify that the button is properly click 8 right at the bottom right there, 5, so it works now, right? 1, 2. We gonna need to program the rest of the buttons. We only program 0 to 9, so we need to do clear, right, and so on. But my concern now is how do I concatenate? You need to declare, okay, maybe private string, right, input and initialize to nothing, and start to say whenever you enter in here, this is the e-action command, right, supposed to go and say concatenate back to input, right, which is your string plus equals, and then just set text to input, and that should do concatenations for you.